What's going on YouTube? Welcome back. Today's video, I'm gonna teach you how to clean in 5 minutes. For those of you that are new to my channel, my name is JD. I've been a CrossFit coach for 6+ years, and my goal is to reduce rates of injury amongst CrossFit athletes, get you better in your class WODs, and just make sure that you're getting better at CrossFit in general. Today's video will be primarily directed at CrossFit coaches. So I'm going to be teaching you the sequence I use when I'm teaching the clean for a class. So in a class setting, CrossFit class setting, it usually takes around an hour. You typically do a general warm up, and then you have around 5 to 10 minutes to warm up a very complex movement like the clean. So I'm going to run you through the sequence that I like to use for 5 minutes to teach the class how to do it. We're going to start with a PVC pipe or a barbell. You're going to grab the barbell a thumb length away from your thighs into like a deadlift or standard clean grip. You're going to hold onto the bar with a hook grip. So take your thumb, wrap your index and middle finger around the bar, your thumb. Shoulders down and back, arms straight, soft bend the knees, feet around shoulder width apart. We're gonna start with a dip with our knees, shrug to shoulders onto toes. So we're gonna dip and shrug, dip, shrug, dip, shrug. From here, we're gonna go into the hang position. So we're gonna stick our butt back, keep our weight in our midfoot, shoulders in front of the bar, stretching our hamstrings. So here I have a stretch in my hamstrings, weights in the balls of my feet or midfoot, holding on the bar, keeping the bar touching my thighs. So it's gonna be knees, hips, shrug. Knees, hips, shrug. Knees, hips, shrug. Knees, hips, shrug. So after we finish the hang position, we're gonna go down mid shin. So this is where the bar is gonna start if we had weights on the bar. So it's gonna be shoulders down and back, arms straight, soft bend the knees, butt back, weight in our midfoot, stretching our hamstrings. Drop your chest and hips same time to mid shin. So weights in my midfoot, barbells touching my shins, tension in my hamstrings, shoulder blades together, and I'm looking up. It's gonna be shins, knees, hips, shrug. Shins, knees, hips, shrug. Shins, knees, hips, shrug. From here, we're gonna add a high pull onto the bar. So as I'm in shrug, toes, elbows come high outside, pulling back on the barbell, and the bar is moving straight. At this point, the bar should be weightless. So it's gonna be shins, knees, hips, shrug, pull. Shins, knees, hips, shrug, pull. Shins, knees, hips, shrug, pull. From the high pull, I'm going to drop into a front rack position in a mini power clean position. So I'm up on my toes, high pull position, shoot my elbows forward, catch it onto my shoulders, and land into a mini squat for a power clean. Come back. So it's high pull, drop. So the full sequence is gonna be shins, knees, hips, shrug, pull, drop. Shins, knees, hips, shrug, pull, drop. From here, we're gonna do 5 front squats on the bar. So make sure your butt back, weighing your heels, chest nice and tall, elbows shooting forward, hitting past parallel. Now from here, we're just gonna tie it all together. So we're gonna do the high pull, but we're gonna drop nice and low into a full clean. So it's gonna be shins, knees, hips, shrug, pull, drop, nice and low, stand tall. Shins, knees, hips, shrug, pull, drop nice and low, come back down, last one, shins, knees, shrug, pull, drop low. Okay, so now that we've gone through the sequence that I use in a class setting, I'm gonna explain to you why I choose to do each individual position. So we first start with the power position. That's the high hang position to a shrug pull. The reason why I start here is because I wanna make sure our athletes are getting a weightless feeling on the bar. You know, when you look at a clean, you see your arms are pulling that bar from the ground to your shoulders. But we want to teach newer athletes to get weightlessness, use the power from their legs to be weightless on the bar. So you'll notice in my sequence, I always try to get to a high pull or a weightless feeling using your legs. So I really emphasize the first and second pull in the clean when I warm up. So we always do shoulders down and back, the positions we want, shoulders down and back, feet shoulder width apart, arms straight, hook up on the bar, and soft bend the knees. People are gonna complain about the hook grip. Tell them you kinda have to do it if you wanna get better at cleaning. Then we transition into the hang position. So we want to make sure we get tension in the hamstrings, load the posterior chain, and keep that weight close to us. A lot of the time, newer athletes will have the bar away from them, and they'll tend to jump forward when catching the bar, and they'll put unnecessary strain into their lower back. So I always emphasize keeping that barbell touching your thighs. I want to be over top of the bar, stretching the hamstrings, and looking up. The looking up piece is going to be really important for your newer athletes because they're going to want to look down. But in weightlifting, if you look down, the weight will go down. It won't come up. In theory, a deadlift, 100% you're looking down. You want a neutral spine, 100%. But you're not going to be cleaning your 1 rep max deadlift. So look up. You should have the proper strength in your upper back to hold on this posture and protect your back. So then we go into the hang and always to the weightless shrug pull onto toes, always onto toes. Then we go down into the first pull, which is the kind of like the hardest part and where most newer athletes kind of get mixed up. So we want to make sure that we're just riding our shins down, keeping it close, and chest and hips rise and drop at the exact same time. We want to make sure that back angle is rising at the same rate. We don't want to see anyone hype up, or you don't want to see anyone chest up first. Maintain the same position. The first pull, shins to knees, is really your only job is to make sure you don't mess up your position to get into the hang position. The hang position is where you're going to generate the most amount of power. So in terms of speed, when you're looking at newer athletes, always say maybe 75 to 85% speed to shins to knees, and then explode from the knees up to jump. So it's shins, go slow, knees, hips, shrug. So making sure that we're keeping that bar close and getting it into our hips. A really common mistake for newer athletes not to get into their hips. Once we've done the first and a little bit of the second pull, we add the high pull. So I always say to athletes, the bar, you're not pulling on that bar, you're just not stopping the bar. You're just guiding the bar nice and straight up and down with the high pull position. So we want to make sure that it's weightless and we get them feeling the weightless position. Then we transition into a power clean. So I always say, I pull, drop underneath into a front clean or a front rack position. Now, I'm gonna get a lot of flack for this, but I'm okay, I'm willing to take the heat. Now, in a true clean position, you're actually pulling yourself underneath the bar. So in a lot of newer athletes, you wanna make sure that they're using their legs in a high pulling. In more advanced athletes, you're pulling yourself underneath the bar. You want to avoid that crash and that feeling that, of like 300 pounds coming on your weight. But with a newer athlete, they're probably closer to 100, 150. It's not going to feel as bad. Really, the problem is probably their first and second pull. Their third pull underneath the bar is not going to, it doesn't matter at that point if their first and second pull is not good enough. So for newer athletes, for a class setting, always say high pull up, and then drop, and I want to hear my feet slam on the ground as I shoot forward and catch into a front rack position. Emphasize the sit back, okay, when we get into a squat, because people tend to, catch it with a muted hip and just put all the pressure into their knees. Make sure that they sit back in their hips, catch it into a squat position, front squat position. All right, so if you're doing power cleaning class, you can stop there, or like I did in my tutorial, you could just do front squats, make sure that their front squats are really good, and then I just say tie it together. So as they pull up, I catch it nice and low, catch it lower into the front squat. Your athletes will vary in degree in skill, and some people may be good at front squats, maybe not, but if you're doing front squat cleans in the class, that's one way you can transition. I like doing this sequence because it can work for any variation of the clean. Like you can do high hang and just stop. You just don't do the hang in the first pull. You just high hang pulls and then pull drop nice and low. Or you can do hang cleans and just go here and avoid shins. Really up to you how you want to use it, but I find this is the most effective way that I've personally found to teach a clean in less than 5 minutes. It's a very complex move. This is not a way you would do it for really advanced lifters. You probably need a little more warming up and a little more tutorial. And realistically, advanced lifters will know what they're doing and know their problems. You can kind of pinpoint where they're at in terms of warming them up. But hope you guys enjoyed my version of teaching a clean in 5 minutes for a CrossFit class. See you next time.